Hi everyone, Lazy Fire here. Welcome back to the Hate the Player podcast. This is episode, 40? Sure.
Episode fuck it, yes.
This is actually, we are celebrating for real our year anniversary of doing this, Arnold. I don't know if you realize that, but
Really?
I mentioned it to Three Toes last week that we were sub 1 year, and we're slightly over a year since the first one of these went up.
Holy shit! Yeah, I feel like I should have been here last week now.
Woo, it's our birthday celebration for this podcast that 50 people listen to.
Birthday extravaganza!
Yeah.
First one for information, social security number, all that.
Yeah. If you guys could send that to us. So
Yeah, we're going to start a Patreon. You can just send us all your money.
Yeah, I can get $3,000 a month for doing nothing if I have a Patreon.
Did you hear about kind of what happened with Woody and his crowd with the Painkiller already Patreon?
No, what happened
Like,
there?
well, it's
Hang
nothing.
on. What the fuck is a Patreon?
Okay, well, you know how Kickstarter is for people who want to make indie games but don't have money?
Right.
Okay, so Patreon is kind of like a perpetual Kickstarter for people who want to make stupid shit but don't have money.
Have talent?
Yeah, that too. So basically, a lot of the YouTube guys have slowly transitioned into using Patreon in addition to YouTube ads to make extra money, because the YouTube ad split is not really favorable to content producers versus YouTube, and the money you make from the partnership isn't really that great if you're not in the top like 5-10% of people making money off of YouTube.
I was really hoping you were going to say 1%, but
yeah, I'm a 5%er. And wow, okay, I can't say that. But anyways, so
it allows you to offer like perks for donating. Like, if you're a $50 subscriber, you can, and this is for real a perk that the Painkiller Already guys offered. If you're a $50, I think it's $50 a month.
Right.
If you're a $50 a month subscriber, you can get an invite to like a Google Hangout with those guys.
wow.
Is one of the perks. Yeah.
$50 a month.
Yeah.
50 a month?
Well, yeah, 50 a month.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not. And sure enough, there were a lot of people who subscribed to the $50 a month Painkiller Already Patreon.
No fucking way.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of kids who got hold of mommy and daddy's credit card and like giving it to 40-year-old men who play on YouTube for a living and run Minecraft servers. So I think it's only been up for, I don't know, maybe a month, maybe two for them at this point. But there was a big debacle with this month's Google Hangouts where they sent everyone a message like a few hours before it happened, and there were only 8 slots, but there were like 30 some odd people who qualify for paying the $50.
A Google Hangout debacle?
Yeah, Google Hangout debacle. That could be a great band name. I'm going to add that to my awesomebandnames.txt file. Google Hangout
Jesus
debacle.
fucking Christ.
So yeah, it was just a lot of people getting pissed off that, oh, shocker, you didn't get, your $50 worth for your Patreon. Well, guess what? Even if you went to a fucking Google Hangout, you would not be getting $50 worth.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same shit we talked about last week. The people who glorify these regular people and, promote them basically the godlike status where you're willing to pay $50 for the off chance that you might get into a Google Hangout with them. If there's room, if you respond quickly enough.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more to it, but I could not force myself to read the goddamn PKA Reddit any further.
Yeah, I would suggest, for your sanity's sake, staying the fuck away from there. I actually got shadow banned from the Xbox One subreddit.
Shadow banned?
It's
sounds pretty bad.
Is that like hell banning?
Sort of. You can still post in the Reddit, but no one else can see your posts. Only you. So it's a way to keep
why
people
would you
from.
post?
It's a way. Well, I didn't know I was shadow banned at first, and then it all started to add up. Because let me explain something to you about the Xbox One launch in the Tier 2 European countries. Which, by the way, because the EU is an open trade organization, didn't fucking matter, because people who were, say, in the Netherlands would just order from Amazon Germany and have it shipped over there and turn it into the English mode and play it in that, and everyone was okay. If you really, really wanted to fucking play an Xbox One in the Netherlands. So, when it launched in the Netherlands, people who actually bought it in the country after it launched there found that their Kinect doesn't work. There's no voice commands in the Dutch version of the Xbox One right now.
Well, to be fair, it is the Dutch.
Yeah. And
casual racism.
Yeah. And fantastically enough, you do not have the option to switch over to English. Despite the fact that it's a second language there, all the movies are dubbed in Dutch, or are still in English, but have subtitles in Dutch. Like, almost all their entertainment that comes over from England or the US that comes over is in English still, because it's a second language. And yet, Microsoft didn't feel the need to allow for an English usage there. So people were like, oh no, it's not a problem, just switch which store you're subscribed to and you'll be able to blah blah blah. But it's like, how many times can something like that happen? Like, how can you miss... So first off, you're launching without one of the big things that you sold your console on, which is voice commands, which apparently is like the savior of that console somehow still. And then you're like, okay... you can only play this in Dutch, despite the fact that you're so used to consuming everything in, English. What the fuck? No one does any research at the company. It's fucking bizarre. So, I think we'll...
Do you think it could be... I remember when the Kinect first came out for 360 that there was an issue that with people with accents not being able to use it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And...
like a lot of people from like the deep south.
The first thing I thought of when you said that was just imagining a fucking gold member trying to use the Kinect.
Yeah. Well, the Dutch thing's kind of funny, because you'd think that they would have had accents kind of taken care of, because the Kinect's been launched in the U.S. and up in England, and go through all the way from Wales to Scotland. With, the accents there, they can all understand English accents in varying types. If you ever heard a Welsh person talk and a Scottish person talk, you know the difference there. But somehow, Australia just got Xbox On as their voice command. They don't have many more.
Xbox On.
Yeah, so, what the fuck's happening over there at Microsoft? But yeah, the continual this failure of the Xbox One has been hilarious in every sense of the word.
Oh, but they got Tomb Raider as a Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, for the holiday season of next year.
Yeah,
that's really going to save the console. I'm going to go out and buy an Xbox One, so next year I can play the Tomb Raider game about 4 to 8 months before everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's not going to happen. And then half their exclusives are also coming to PC, or it's the one big exclusive that they're touting for this season is, I kid you not, 4 fucking Halo games in a remastered collection. Yeah, hey, hold on. Remember when Halo was relevant? About 12 years ago? Yeah.
So it's kind of hazy.
So, now that I've made that weird detour over there, I wanted to get back into that Patreon thing. So, Arnold, you don't know what that is, and we did a shitty job of explaining it. But basically, it's, like I said, basically a perpetually funded Kickstarter. You basically subscribe, basically everything. So, you more or less are subscribing to this person, sort of like a magazine subscription. When they produce something, you pay them. So, if you're a YouTube guy, you say, well, if you subscribe to me for $5, whatever you're doing, every time I do this thing, you'll donate X number of dollars to me. So, or you're a blogger and I'm going to write, 20 articles a month, if you guys subscribe to me, you can pay me per article, whatever you feel's good. You know, if you want to give me $20 a month, you know, do $1 an article. That sort of thing. What it's been used for by other people, however, like Zoe Quinn of Quinngate, or Gamergate, or whatever the fuck that thing is, that's become fucking stupid as shit and like perpetually dumber and dumber. She was getting $3,000 a month from Patreon for basically nothing. Hers was not based on work, but rather per month. She was just drawing money from this account that people were donating to. Right. So that actually got somebody fired.
So she was getting subscribers with no promise of content.
Uh-huh. Well,
wow.
The fact of the matter is that, you know, her involvement with Depression Quest, people have pointed out, is very limited. Even that, that's her claim to fame. That's the one thing she's, like, produced, and she's pointed out she's not a programmer, and that thing's a fucking graphic novel, or whatever you want to call it. It's not even, like, the Stanley Parable is more of a game than that is. And, you know what the weird thing is? That game was free, too, so where is she going to make money on it anyways? So yeah, the Patreon's a weird thing. Some people are using it in interesting ways. Some people are just basically using it as extra income. I don't think it's going to go away as a source of income for anyone right now. But the funny thing is that Kotaku, because a lot of their guys got caught up in this, because like 3 of the 4 guys were actually, the 3 of the 5 people who were involved in this whole thing were actually Kotaku employees. Kotaku has forced their staff to divest from Patreons and Kickstarters and so on that people they know run, especially video game people. So they're the other thing that happened was this woman wrote this article defending Zoe Quinn in The Guardian, and she was a freelancer who does freelance work in games journalism. Well, people, of course, dug into her stuff, found out that the same PR firm that Zoe Quinn uses represents her, that she's subscribed to Zoe Quinn on Patreon, so she has a bias here. And so Twitter harassment began. And this woman has now said that she's going to completely exit freelancing on video game writing because of what happened.
That I feel like I just watched an episode of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I kind of spaced out there for a second.
Sorry, it's
yeah. Wow, that people are serious about giving money to strangers on the internet.
Yeah, and people are even more serious about digging up who's giving what money to who. But yeah, the Gamersgate thing has sort of exploded. They've given it a name, the Gamersgate, which I still believe that throwing gate at the end of any sort of controversy is the easiest way to make me not fucking care. And so apparently everything's getting lined up, and games journalism, magazines, and websites and so on are saying, is the name Gamer dead? And people are trying to reclaim Gamer as like a status, or I don't fucking know, man. The stupidest things, and this is like, despite the fact that the average person who plays video games is 31 years old, despite the fact that there are, you know, ever increasing amounts of money being made off video games and companies putting stock in the market and mainstream news articles about this stuff, people who are into video games still can't fucking get over themselves. And it's like, I have to be a gamer, and you can't besmirch the name gamer, and fuck that. You're a person who plays video games.
It's the same thing when anyone takes a hobby and turns it into an identity.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what it is. Same thing with people who, you know, run, you know, a ton, you know, quote unquote runners or CrossFitters. Yeah. Like, you're taking a hobby, something you enjoy, and that becomes the focus of your being and your identity. And regardless if it's, you know, fucking video games or anything, you're kind of overdoing it at that point.
Well, I wipe back to front. I'm a back to
What the
fronter.
fuck is wrong with you? We can't do this podcast together anymore.
Get the fuck off.
Well,
we're gonna get it.
I actually.
If you wipe
have
back
you-
to front, you can get out.
Have you ever been behind a semi truck?
Yes. Yeah.
And are you familiar with the dust flaps they have?
The mud flaps, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I kind of use my balls like a mud flap.
My God, why?
Well, it's just
So,
it's just
so
being
this just
sanitary.
in: Arnold has shitty balls. I hope your girlfriend knows you have shitty balls.
Well,
Someday she'll find out.
well,
Well, someday.
moving on.
Oh yeah. By the way, if you guys haven't done this already, go into GBS and go into the Madden GIF thread. It is the funniest thing on the forums right now.
All right.
I'll have to go look at that. I rarely
Definitely
go
not
into
doing that while
GBS.
we're podcasting.
I'm definitely not reading that right now. Yeah, I'm trying really hard not to laugh at this stuff.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it gets better and worse at the same time. I don't
All right,
I don't know why this is.
We're gonna have to. Cut
I don't
this
know
out.
why
Okay.
I told
All
you
right.
guys
Yep,
this
we're
now.
done with this.
Yeah, no more podcasting. I need to read
anyone
this
listening-
300 pages.
Anyone listening to this podcast needs to go to http://gifferator GIFERATOR.easports.com and do great things.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is amazing. The
God damn it! I can't watch this anymore.
yeah, you got to turn it
I'm
off.
on the third one.
I almost went over my data plan just because I was checking this like every time I was walking my dog. Like, oh yeah, it's like, oh you're at 75% of your data plan one day. It's like, well, I've got like 10 days to go. Then like the next day, you're at 95% of your data plan. Stop looking at that thread, you moron. So I had to stop looking at it while I was walking the dog, which is 90% of when I play on the internet. Bring back up a conversation point from last week and the week before, Three Toes. Unturned. After we talked last week, I went and played, I'd say like solid 2 hours of single player in that.
Yep.
And you get geared up pretty quickly there, but at the same time, there's little and less to do when you're on your own. So I feel like it's definitely one of those games, sort of like DayZ, where you need to have a multiplayer component, or it's just going to be like, why am I doing this?
It is. It pretty much is two separate games. Single player, yeah, it's a race to get geared up, to get comfortable, which really isn't difficult depending on where you spawn. Like, yeah, it can be kind of hairy. You may have to, punch a few zombies and take a good bit of loss of health before you can actually, get a few items. But then everything kind of plateaus off for the longest time. Once you get comfortable, once you get plenty of ammo, you find a canteen, you got the necessary materials to make a campfire so you can cook deer and bacon and survive on that, or if you find MREs or shit like that at the military base. Then the only way I found to keep it interesting in single player is you kind of start taking risks. You start, all of a sudden you realize, melee weapons are the best for dealing with zombies, but, I found these guns for a reason. I'm going to start shooting the zombies. Well, you start doing that, you start taking risks, you start playing stupid, and before you know it, you fired a couple shots, and around the corner comes a horde of 20 zombies who heard your gunshots. That's really the only way to keep it interesting as single player. You got to start taking stupid risks.
Yeah.
And it's something that doesn't happen. Like, you have to force yourself to do it, so it's kind of a downfall of the single player.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not much you can do with it, really. There's only a few towns. There's not really there's just zombies and collecting shit. That's all you can really do.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why I never played DayZ.
Right. And I mean, it's good to get you used to the mechanics of like crafting stuff you would need in multiplayer. It's a good prepper for multiplayer. It lets you know where you can figure out where certain resources are. Like, okay, well, this gun typically spawns at the military base or at a police station. Oh, well, here's the towns with the police station. Oh, here's, the stuff I need in order to craft this, and this. Okay, now I'm ready for multiplayer. So you know where all that stuff is. So it's useful. It's basically like a tutorial mode, but it doesn't really teach you anything. You have to teach it yourself.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to America.
Deal with it. So, yeah, definitely one of those things where I had the wiki up in another window, and I would check it every now and again, like, how the fuck do I make a rope? Oh, good, I have to go grab like 1 million animal hides and blah, blah, blah. I made a chest, which was an exercise in cutting down trees.
Yeah.
For fucking 2 days to make a chest. But, yeah, overall, I can see myself playing that game online a bit more. Apparently, that is one of the top 5 played games on Steam.
Really?
What?
Yeah. Or it was something like the top 10 most downloaded or something like that, week over week. But, yeah, it got a lot of attention and popularity for a basically a Minecraft-looking motherfucker. Well, Gumby meets Minecraft meets DayZ-looking game. But the kid who's making it, and I can call him that because he's 17 goddamn years old, is going to add more maps to it, and the Prince Edward Island map that's up now that's pretty small, he's going to expand that to be 36 times the size it is now.
Holy shit.
What?
Yeah, he's going big.
Wow.
So,
I mean, he's not playing, because version 3, like 3.0 is supposed to be out soon. That's not slated for 3.0.
No,
like,
this is
okay.
These are
like long-term
distant
goals.
future plans.
Okay.
Yeah. I was looking into it a bit this week because I was interested to see how the fuck this came about and why it's like where it came from and why it's popular. So it's good to know that stuff. I picked up a crossbow and the 6x scope, and arrows are incredibly easy to make.
Yeah.
So I've been popping people with those things. They're pretty great.
Yeah, the crossbow's pretty overpowered.
Yeah.
I've yet to figure out. I've heard it both ways. Looking at the community, I can't figure out if there's bullet drop in that game or not.
Hit scan, like everything's hit scan. I think
it is, but it seems like, I don't know. Maybe it was a latency issue, but I was really far away trying to shoot someone and could not place a shot on them, like while they were standing still.
Oh, guns have a maximum range. Same thing with crossbows.
Well, I don't think I was beyond maximum range, because they were still clearly visible, and I was only using a 6x scope. But
6x.
6x.
Anyway, it was probably latency more than anything. But.
Yeah, well, could be a whole thing. Who knows? But I just running around in that is still kind of fun. I found fire axe, and I'm like coming at people with fire axes. It's pretty fun. Like I said, it's once you get geared up, you're near unkillable if you have enough stuff. And the only problem becomes that your backpack only holds so much, which when you're constantly under assault in a multiplayer game, I'm sure it's a lot more stuff, or it's a lot less stuff that you're going to be holding on to. You're going to be tossing a lot of stuff. But I like to walk around with, like 50 sticks and 1 million arrows, just in case I run into an army. And
right.
My situation.
Well, and it's not just the space in the backpack. It's the weight limit too. Like you can't be expecting to be walking around with 5 different guns and still be able to carry enough food and water, because the weight limit's going to restrict you regardless of the backpack you have.
Yeah, I just found a canteen and some deer.
One thing that I thought was really cool, that I didn't really notice until kind of after I'd been playing it for a while, once you pick up the two, like one of the two military backpacks, either the Alice pack or the rucksack, you get an extra space on your hotbar.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty cool. Like with any other backpack, you only get 4 hot slots. With those two, you get a 5th, which is really nice.
Yeah, I could use that. I find myself just scrambling for that extra space every now and again. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun. But the looting aspect of that got me back into playing Torchlight, which I find myself still enjoying a lot. Mostly because where my character is in that, even with high level enemies, I can basically go through and tank everything. It's amazing. But the other half of that, and Arnold saw me doing this earlier today, is that I bought Borderlands 2 like 3 weeks ago and have been putting a lot of hours into Borderlands 2 again, which is a bad idea. I forgot that game was good. I keep forgetting that because of the fucking meme jokes that they threw in there. Like, you'll look up and there's a double rainbow, and then the main villain will get on your communicator like, double rainbow, what does it mean? So, you know what? I'm glad that Reddit wrote your game for you. But which was actually one of the tweets Ryan Davis made to the guy who wrote Borderlands 2, the head writer. When the head writer's like, oh, who writes, why would they have games journalists write these reviews for people? And then Ryan Davis's tweet was, well, why would you have Reddit write your game for you? It was... we need more Ryan Davises in the world. But too bad he died. But yeah,
wow. Details.
Yeah, I know. More people need to do stuff like that on Twitter to
die?
Game journalists. Yeah. On Twitter, just murder yourself on Twitter for the tweet and the follows and the hashtags.
And the YOLOs. Don't forget the YOLOs.
Oh, YOLOs. Hashtag YOLO. So yeah, I've been getting back into that. And did you guys play Borderlands 2 when it came out?
Nope. I didn't play the first Borderlands.
Okay, so it's basically first-person shooter Diablo. You go around shooting people, collecting money, and killing things, moving on to the next area.
It's Fallout.
Sort of. Yeah.
Oop, that was sneezed.
Okay, sure. And it's sort of like Fallout, but it's a lot less structured. It's it's an open world just like Fallout is. It's but the guns you pick up are like, okay, I picked up an assault rifle, but it fires 8 bullets out of the muzzle, and it takes 2 ammo per shot, and it sets things on fire when it hits them, and if I reload, I toss it, and it blows up like a grenade, and then a new one appears in my hand. Like, the most bizarre, out-of-your-mind bullshit guns you can think of pop up in that game. And people yell stuff at you, you have shields and all this other crap, and it just goes on and on. But it's all cel-shaded style, so it looks kind of neat, and it's a good game overall until you get to some of the bullshit sections towards the middle, where it's, oh, we didn't learn how to balance things, so here's a bunch of hard enemies, and if you try to move forward, like, say, 3 inches beyond where you're standing when you first encounter them all, you will die. And so you basically spend time hiding behind stuff, waiting for your shields to recharge, which is absolute bullshit, and games need to get away from that. But yeah, it's a fun game. I've been playing a lot of it lately. It's one of those things that, like I said, I was lost on the fact that it was a good game. I just kept getting caught up in the fact that it was like really bad in terms of writing, and some of the characters are so terrible I wanted to turn the game off when they were on screen.
Yeah.
Most notably Tiny Tina, who I mean, if
you mean the random meme generator?
Yeah, the meme generator, who was very clearly in there just so people would write about her on the internet. Like, clearly the worst character in video games of that year. No joke. If you went back and looked at that year, Hitler could have been your main character in a video game. And
he was the Sniper V whatever
Your player character?
Yeah. No. Don't you assassinate Hitler in one of those sniper
I
games?
think it's a DLC, so...
Oh, yeah.
You're DLC Hitler. How, how bad's your villain in this game? Well, the villain in the game is a bad guy, but the main villain in the DLC is Hitler, so... Yeah. DLC Hitler, I like it.
Nothing
Let's
will
go
ever
with it.
beat Mecha Hitler.
No, Mecha Hitler cannot die.
Rip Wolf 3D.
Did you know, this is a weird thing I read the other day, the Wolfenstein series, since Wolf 3D, because Wolfenstein was a completely different thing, but on the Commodore 64 or something like that, but Wolfenstein 3D and on, that is not like a series of sequels and reboots or anything like that. That is a contiguous series.
What? What's a contiguous
Wait, say
series?
that again?
Wolfenstein is apparently like one series of games. It is not like here's this game. Return to Castle Wolfenstein is a reboot of the series, and this game's a reboot of the series, or something like that. Since the first game, it is all one series.
Huh.
Wow.
Because as different teams picked it up or tried to redo stuff with it, they've always... So, first game, Wolf 3D, right? You fight Mecha Hitler. Then you had, I think, another couple like that, and then you had Return to Castle Wolfenstein, where you played the same guy, and it was after he had defeated Mecha Hitler, and you're going after the Nazi occult stuff, right? And then, so after that, they did a game that was simply titled Wolfenstein, where it was more of this occult stuff, but you still played the same guy having come back from that mission. There were some characters that carried over and stuff like that.
That was the Spear of Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the newest game, New Order, that there are characters that carry over from that. You still play as the same guy. In like an alternate universe.
In space!
Yeah,
DJ
Nazis.
Blazkowicz has had a hell of a career in first-person shooters.
Isn't that, like, that's insane. It was one of those things I wouldn't have thought about. I know this is a hot topic of conversation 4 months after the game launched, but that's one of those weird things about video games you wouldn't realize unless you went down that fucking Wikipedia black hole on that and tried to figure it out. Because someone had mentioned it on the Giant Bomb podcast. Like, I think this is a sequel to the previous Wolfenstein game that was made by Activision, which, by the way, is also a thing. Activision made the last Wolfenstein game somehow, and then ID or Bethesda got the rights back for a New Order. That's fucking bizarre. I don't know anymore. I give up.
I didn't play the either of the last two because Wolfenstein is one of those games that I know I'm dating myself here, but that was the first shooter I played. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
I've got fond memories of murdering dogs and my cousin at the time being upset that I was murdering dogs.
Do you tell him to deal with it?
No, but I mean, shit, that was back on a fucking PC speaker. You know, like the...
Oh, yeah, the internal speaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and I'm just... I played Enemy Territory, but because I could separate that in my head, but to have something called Wolfenstein, like I would have these ridiculous high standards, which doesn't make any sense because the game you couldn't even aim or jump. It was literally arrow keys, and I used arrow keys in that game. Arrow keys in the control.
I don't even think you could remap the controls in the original.
No, not when it first came out. No. Later on you could, yeah, but shit.
Yeah. I've played Return to Castle Wolfenstein. That is... Because we didn't have a PC when I was young. We didn't get one until, like, 1996 that could run actual real-person games. So I was on, like, a Super Nintendo. Wolfenstein never really came to the Super Nintendo, so far as I know.
It did. It was a Super Nintendo version. I only know because I played it. Shit. It actually had better graphics, and it was the exact same game, but it was just reskinned and all that. I'll see if I can look it up.
That's fine. I remember there being a Doom on the
There was that too.
Because I definitely played that. But yeah, that weird distant past of video games where things are getting ported all over the place because I think at the time there was a point, and I can't remember when it was exactly, where consoles were actually more powerful than PCs. Like your run-of-the-mill PC that you'd get because, I mean, you didn't have custom hardware at the time. You know, no one was going in there and replacing video cards in 1995. Actually, I'm sure someone's going to counter that and say that they were.
I'll have to look and see what year I got my Monster 3D card, but it was around 97, maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, sound cards and stuff, people would come through with that, but you're not like throwing in. You know,
right.
You're not
At best, you had a 486 with 8 to 16 megs of RAM.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most, and even then, that was a baller ass system back then. You were the shit if you had a CD-ROM on your PC. It didn't have to mess with fucking floppy disks.
Yeah. Oh man,
I remember that.
I remember Doom 2 was 5 floppy disks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember when we got our first CD-ROM computer. And I just looked at it, and I was like, "Why are there only 2 discs?" And well, that's how many discs it comes with.
I had a buddy who had his PC had CD-ROM, but it was the cartridge CD-ROM, so where you had to put the CD in its own special cartridge case and then load the cartridge into the computer. It was fucking weird.
Yeah, I'd give it that. So
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
sometimes you have to take a dump during the podcast.
Pause the podcast. You had that Red Lobster issue.
Personally, yeah, that's true. That's true. I personally, when I need to take a dump during the podcast, I back out of Skype for a second. I join the call on my phone, and I go in there and I just kind of mute it and I take a dump. Sometimes I forget to mute it. If you go back and you listen to some of the other podcasts, and I'm only saying this because this is our year anniversary. This is an Easter egg for all our dedicated fans. You can listen, and you will hear at least 6 different turd plunks. And if you listen even more carefully, you can hear my mudflat balls. Like
is he trying to say I was taking a shit during the podcast?
Yeah, not opening a beer, I guess.
Yeah, I went to go get another beer.
Yeah, so if you do subscribe to us on our Patreon account, you can.
I will send you my empty beer cans.
Yeah.
You can take them to your local recycling center. You can build a little fort out of them. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna subscribe for 5 cents a month. Fuck, 5 cents per can. Oh shit, recycling fees.
That's how they get you.
But yeah,
they're gonna make you lose money on this.
But by the time we have our next podcast, Destiny's going to be out, and apparently that's a kind of a big deal for console people.
Yeah, we talked about that last week and how I had no desire to ever play a game anything like Destiny.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've read about it, it seems like it's going to be like Borderlands minus the parts that made Borderlands good and unique, like the humor and the like kind of zany guns and zany.
Well, I mean, you're a goddamn superhero soldier with a hover bike, apparently. So, I'm just done with it.
Yeah. It's an entire thing. I mean,
but don't get me wrong. Bungie can make a good shooter. I mean, it just wasn't my thing, you know. Like, or towards the end of it, Halo just wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, the Halo series. I think Reach was really the best game in that series, in terms of single player.
And I kind of I think the first one was the best in terms of single player, but because with Reach, you had this real opportunity to make characters that you really gave a shit about. You really had a chance to make real characters that you really gave a shit about. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Real talk.
and I feel like they dropped the ball on it. Like even at the end when you're like kind of fighting on your spoiler alert, you die. At the end where you're fighting to the death, that wasn't even really. I mean, they could have made that so much more gripping, but I guess whatever.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Arnold, that they didn't figure that out for you. I thought
Why do we still play games? Why
I don't
do we
know.
Still do this
You
to
don't.
ourselves?
I don't know.
yeah, I don't play shit. I play on turn. That's about it. I don't know what you chumps are doing.
Yeah. Well, hey, sorry. I know that Arnold is playing some more Warframe.
Yep. That's still pretty fun. I mean, same as what I talked about a couple weeks ago.
I brought this up last week. Like, I would just log into Steam in the middle of a day on a Tuesday, and Arnold's playing Warframe.
Tuesday's my day off, okay?
I log
Tuesdays
in on like a Thursday at 8 in the morning. Arnold's playing Warframe.
Got idle for those drops.
Oh my god, you guys are making it sound way worse than it is.
This is an intervention.
Yeah, we need to talk.
No, Jesus Christ. It's not a problem. I can stop when I want.
I just don't want to.
Yeah.
One more level.
Just give me one more.
Just one more.
I don't need anything. Yeah, I can sort of see where that would become a problem there, Arnold. Why are you in Warframe all the time?
It's a good game, and I have a group of goons that I play with, and Hellbender's one of those goons. I think he's been on the podcast before.
No, he actually refused to be on the podcast several times.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he did. Really?
I wouldn't want my voice being heard by 10 of people.
He did do a couple episodes of the Ghost Recon Future Soldier LP with me and Scion.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, because I often confuse my LPs with my podcast because no one cares about either of them. So
that kind of hurts my feeling they don't want to be on our podcast.
He just says that he doesn't see. I asked him a couple times when Arnold said he couldn't make it, or when you said you couldn't make it, and he was just like, "Nah, no thanks." So it's not like he was like emailing me, him flipping me off or something like that. It wasn't. It's some weird long-term troll or something like that.
Right.
It was just him saying no thanks. So if you ever want to be on this podcast and you have a microphone and Audacity, give me do contact me. That'll be fun. We can that's Patreon at $5 a month on our Patreon account. You can
dude, if you pay us $5 a month, you can be on this fucking show anytime you want.
Yeah, you can have the names and rights to the show. You
can choose all the topics. Like, I don't give a shit.
To do that, all you need to do is to contact Three Toes through his Friendster.
Find me on Tinder, swipe right, and then we'll start talking.
The best thing that can happen there is that somebody is going through Tinder, men looking for men section right now, and messaging every person he thinks would sound like you. Are you Three Toes? If so, call me.
You might have to expand your search radius a little bit.
I don't
depending
know where
on what
he lives.
Geographic area you're in.
Search within 3,000 miles. This should narrow it down.
Yep. It's like playing the lotto, but
people named Three Toes. No one comes up. That's weird.
It's like playing the lotto, but instead of money and like good things, you just get disappointment.
Yeah, you just win disappointment.
I know a guy who used to go on Tinder and then like every girl who was in his parameters, and regardless of anything, as long as she didn't have children, and. Yeah, that was one of his things.
Oh, it's a big problem on Tinder. There's a ton of single moms on Tinder.
I can only imagine that an app meant for casual sex has quite a few single mothers on there.
I didn't think about that, but I was about to do the Tinder thing, and then one of my friends kind of hooked me up on a blind date sort of thing, and it went really well.
Yeah.
So there's Tinder's kind of changed since it first came out. There's basically 3 types of users on Tinder. You've got the people just trying to hook up, which is what it was originally intended for. You've got the people using it as a legitimate dating app. I'm not even kidding, because, I mean, think about it. If you're on fucking Match or Plenty of Fish or any dating site, first thing you're going to look at is what the person looks like, if you're attracted to them or not.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay.
So Tinder's like, yeah, we both found each other attractive. Let's start talking and see what happens. Third type is just someone who's just playing it as hotornot.com, the app. They have no interest in talking to anyone or anything. They're just going by saying, yeah, I'd do her. No, not her. No, not her. Yeah, maybe. Let me look at more of her pictures, swipe through. Nah, that's a no. Like, they're just playing it as a game.
Yeah.
So it's apparently there a few others have come out that are more explicitly just for, getting your fuck on. Particularly if you're gay, there's one called Grindr.
Grindr, yay!
Yeah, that's the one everyone knows. So if you're looking for 3 toes.
Yeah.
I'm
really
not on
surprised
Grindr,
3 Toes knows
goddammit.
about that. It gets awfully lonely living.
No,
in the
because
middle of the
when I told a buddy of mine that I was on Tinder, he was like, he didn't know, like, way back when it was first coming out, he didn't know about it. He's like, isn't that for gay guys? I'm like, no, that's Grindr.
Stop saying that, Dad.
Dick. I don't care how many times you say it, it's not going to be true.
So yeah, the guy I know just had a whole thing. So don't want to get too far into that, but did you guys play anything worth mentioning this week? Looking forward to anything besides Destiny?
Are we even really looking forward to Destiny?
No. I don't think anyone should be either, because we all know what that game's going to be. Terrible.
Yeah.
It's going to get really good reviews, and people are going to be like, wow, this is the best game ever, and then like 4 weeks later they're going to be back in Call of Duty land, so it doesn't even matter. It's going to be a blip on the radar.
Well, speaking of which, from a pure Schadenfreude aspect, I'm kind of looking forward to the next Call of Duty just so I can see people waste their money on it and complain about how terrible it is.
Okay, so right before
Shit
we
just
go...
got meta.
Yeah. Right before we go, this is going to be funny. So Titanfall, when it came out, people were complaining that it was 6-on-6 and that there were always Titans in it. And so they just released a patch that added an 8-on-8 Titan or pilot-only mode. So no Titans. And people were both really excited about this because they wanted to play that, and really upset because the game's named Titanfall. And so you expect the Titans to be a whole thing. And so, with this in mind, Advanced Warfare is going to have the classic mode, where there's no, special abilities given to you by that suit that you wear throughout the game that makes it look like you're in Elysium. And then there's going to be the normal mode, where you're going to be running around with that suit and able to do all the stuff you did in Crysis 6 years ago. So, yeah, it looks like they're going to bifurcate on this early on and see where it goes, which will be fun to watch. But it really suggests that they're trying to do something radically different with the multiplayer, which means it's going to fucking fail hard because their fan base is basically autistic.
Basically.
Well,
okay.
But no, I mean, they really should do something different, by which I mean a completely different game, and
not called Call of Duty.
Burn it down, salt the earth so that nothing more may grow, and move on.
Exactly. So, okay, I think good rap session, everyone.
Yeah. Bama won 41-3 last night. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. And then the Packers lost fucking 16-36.
Yeah.
And then by the way, I know this is going to just extend it more. Did you see the fucking scores today?
Nope. Haven't watched the game. I avoided it. There's a reason I avoided it. I just don't.
What, the NFL
don't hear
scores?
it. Yep.
Yeah, the NFL scores.
I haven't looked
Nope.
at them.
Haven't even been on Facebook. Don't want to hear the shit. Just shut the fuck up.
Okay. Yeah. It was a fuck day. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Arnold, thank you for joining us.
Hey, no problem.
Special guest Arnold. 3 Toes, thanks for being here as well.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, everyone.